It's morning on January 19th, 1991, and a pair of F-15 Sea Eagles are on an escort mission over Iraq as part of Operation Desert Storm. Captain Cesar Rico Rodriguez and his wingman, Captain Craig Mole Underhill, are clearing the skies ahead of a formation of 36 aircraft tasked with striking targets near Baghdad. Behind them, there are waves of F-16s making their runs, diving with 2,000-pound general-purpose bombs. They release them, and the ordnance drops straight onto the Iraqi ammunition depots. Giant explosions rise from the desert. They're expecting anti-aircraft missiles, and the F-16s pull hard up, releasing chaff and flares at the same time. But instead of missiles, the Iraqi Air Force has dispatched two pairs of the most advanced fighters at their disposal, MiG-29 Fulcrums. Outnumbered, the Iraqi pilots have been keeping their distance, searching for an opportunity to strike. When they're told of two F-15s, perfect targets, it's their chance, and the pair of Fulcrums races to intercept. In the F-15, Rico gets a message from his AWACS controller, Mark White. Rico chooses the most threatening target, and they turn to engage. The F-15's front-facing radars detect the contact, and it appears on their screen. But it's not the only warning. On another screen, a 29 appears. It's his radar warning receiver, RWR, a device that tells him when enemy radars can spot him. Rico and Mole brace for action. The two pairs of enemies, both fourth-generation fighters, have each other in their sights and are heading towards each other in a supersonic joust. Rico selects an AIM-7 Sparrow missile. But the Iraqis have a plan. They dive far below the F-15s, attempting to use the ground clutter to conceal themselves from the radar. But it doesn't work. Aboard his F-15, Rico sees the single fuzzy contact split into two well-defined targets. Rico selects one of the contacts and locks it in. Aboard the Fulcrum, the pilot sees his radar warning receiver light up with a lock alert. But the Iraqis have yet another ace up their sleeve. They bank to the side, and suddenly the warnings go silent. Rico's finger hovers over the weapon's release button when the radar contacts suddenly vanish from his screen. It's a blind spot in the F-15's radar. Objects moving perpendicular to them are invisible, and the MiG-29s are exploiting it perfectly. Rico is frustrated, but it's a known tactic. The enemy reappears on radar 12 nautical miles away. He locks it in one more time, but doesn't fire. The AIM-7 Sparrow needs him to maintain lock throughout the missile's entire flight, and he knows the enemy will re-enter the blind spot before the missile can hit. Once again, the enemy disappears. The MiG-29s keep maneuvering across the sky, toying with the F-15's radar, constantly blinking in and out from Rico's screen, keeping about 12 nautical miles of separation. Rico can see what they're doing. The Fulcrums are dragging them along. Over at the AWACS, Mark White keeps an eye on the situation. As the F-15s make their move, they leave the airspace that Mark is responsible for. Following protocol, he hands Rico and Mole over to another AWACS controller. Rico and Mole keep up the chase across the sky, when suddenly their RWR beeps with alarm and starts filling with detections up ahead. It's an entire field of S-125 Neva surface-to-air missiles set up to defend Baghdad. The enemy is trying to pull them into a killing field. Rico checks in with a strike force and listens to the F-16s making their runs. If he and his wingman fly away, then the strike aircraft will definitely be intercepted by the MiGs. He makes a daring choice. They hold their altitude and deliberately continue heading toward the enemy trap, buying the strike force the time it needs. The RWR clicks every time enemy radars scan them, the warnings becoming more frequent by the second. But the Iraqis still have a cunning plan. They know the Americans can see the missiles. They're not the trap, they're the distraction. A third MiG-29 charges toward the F-15s from their left side, out of view from the F-15's front-facing radar, and with its own radar turned off so it won't appear on the RWR. Despite the fight no longer being in his area, Mark White keeps checking the situation. He sees the new enemy approaching and realizes the danger. But the F-15s aren't reacting. They keep flying straight, even as the bandit gets within 18 nautical miles, well within missile range. 16 miles, still nothing. 15, 14. White finally decides to act and calls out the threat. Rico hears the call and instantly drops his fuel tanks, pulling hard toward the new contact. The moment he turns, the MiG appears on his radar just 8 miles away. At the same time, the Iraqi pilot, flying blind without radar, is told the Americans are right ahead. He switches on his radar and instantly appears on Rico's RWR. Now both pilots are